Hi, Bart.
How's it going?
Um, so good. How are you?
Good.
Good. So this hand is at the Gardens, 5-5, 600 cap. We were eight-handed in a straddle pot, and the villain is 1400-ish, 1500-ish effective,
Okay.
and I cover.
Okay.
So in the straddle pot, middle position limps 10, and then it folds around to me on the button, and I have pocket sixes with a diamond.
Okay. I'm gonna put up six of clubs, six
Um,
of diamonds here. Okay.
and then the big blind completes and the limper calls.
So you raise to 30,
So, sorry, I raised the 35.
raises to 35, and the big blind calls and the limper calls. Is that right?
Right.
So 35 times 3 is like 105. That's about right with the rake. Interesting how I don't know how often this game is straddled, but this is the typical Hawaiian Garden high drop LA 600 cap game, 5-5. Yeah, I think the ISO is fine. I wouldn't go. It's weird because it's such a high drop, right? Like you want to play like almost a raise or fold. So probably coming in for a raise to possibly just get it so that you might actually win the pot in itself. I think is fine. I don't know if that was your strategy, but
Yeah, I mean, there was quite a bit of chips on the table at the
yeah.
time. This hand was a while ago. So, but yeah, I was, I think I had about 4,000. I just was running
Okay.
really well that day.
Yeah.
Um, So the flop comes out king 10 3 2 diamonds, and I believe the king was not the diamond.
Okay. I'm gonna put up king of spades, ten of diamonds, three of diamonds. So you just basically whiff here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so the big blind checks, middle position checks, and typically I bet small because this range, like I should technically connect with this range, and I kind of want to maintain position. So I typically bet, 30-40% pot. Um, but the middle position guy was somewhat tilted and he was kind of shove happy. So I just checked. So it checks around the flop.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly about betting here. Like I'd almost rather bet like a five out draw. Like if you had raised with like 5-6 suited and the board came out king 10-5, especially with a backdoor, I might start betting. I mean, you have to have some checks that are just pure whiffs here, and I consider this a
Okay.
pure whiff. I mean, you could make a case for a protection bet heads up against somebody or a range bet, but I don't really think that applies here. To be perfectly honest with you,
Okay.
into two people, so I have no problem with the check whatsoever.
Okay. All
Yep.
right. So then the turn is where it gets interesting. The turn is the six. So I turn the set.
Does it bring in a backdoor flush draw if
Uh,
you remember?
it does not.
Okay. So this is the ultimate best thing. One of the best things that can ever happen in No Limit Hold'em is when you're in the caller situation like this. You've raised with a pocket pair, you've whiffed on the flop. There are many overcards, and then all of a sudden somehow you bink a set on the turn, and it is especially on a sort of a draw heavy board. It is so hidden, right? It is just so hidden. It's just great because if someone's betting out here
Right.
with a king and you raise them, it's kind of like the person with the king is like, what does this guy have? Because I have a king, there's less chance of three kings here. It's also a draw heavy board. Wouldn't he bet on the flop? So this is just a great scenario for you.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I thought.
Yep.
So the big blind now leads out 50, so about 50% pots. The limper folds, and then I thought it was a slam dunk raise, so I do raise. I made it 205.
So the limper bet's
Uh,
50. You raise to 205.
right. Sorry. No, the big blind bets leads out, and then the limper folds.
Okay, so big blind. I'm sorry, I had to adjust your suits here so that it makes sense. Big blind bet's 50, fold, and you make it 205 just because I didn't want it to make sure that it wasn't a backdoor flush draw. So I put your six of spades up there, six of spades, six of diamonds. Flop is king of spades, 10 of diamonds, three of diamonds. Check through, turns the six of clubs. Bink. Big blind bets 50, fold. Hero raises to 205. I might go even a little bit larger than that because you're so deep. I know you went to 4x. I might make it like 250, 275, something like that. But okay, you make it 205.
Okay. And then this is where I was really surprised. He actually three bets me on the turn to 705.
Wow. So he three bets you here to 705. So Hero makes it 205. Raises to 205. Big blind three bets to 705. One of the first things I'd look at right off the top is, how much money would you have left if you were to call? If you call, you've put in like 14 on the turn. The pot's like 15 and change, and you probably have like 700 left. So you have half a pot size bet left. You have the nuts here, right?
That's, yeah.
The relative nuts is what I'm talking about. Like in the sense that you don't think the big blind's going to have king here, right? Probably not 10-10 either. And what you're ahead of here that might go bet three bet is pocket threes, and I think king 10 as played. Some people might even, who don't know really what's going on, and it wouldn't surprise me in a 5-5 HP game, think that like king 6 or something is the nuts here. It's just going to be the only hand that you are behind to here is the very, very occasional 10-10. And I would say, like, with the sort of texture of the board where there's a lot of draws and stuff like that, usually I'm just shoveling money in here. Like, there's just no way that a guy's going to three bet fold here, even if he's got a combo draw. And the problem sometimes from just calling here is that if he has a combo draw and he misses, your call of his three bet is so strong. If he has a hand like Queen Jack of Diamonds, he's blocking all the draws, and you're probably going to call down. So if he gives up, you don't get that extra value that you would by him calling off right now. So I think that I would just jam here all day. Now, if you had like pocket threes somehow, and the board had come out like king 10-6 and the turn was a 3, there's a couple other hands that probably, obviously you lose to, but here 6-6 I think is the effective nuts. It wouldn't. I think the guy's most likely holding here is king 10, 3-3, and probably with how wide these guys VPIP, there's probably a lot of combos of king 10 if he's calling with king 10 offsuit here.
Yeah. So I don't have much history with this guy. I've seen him around the casino, but I haven't ever really played against him. I put in a lot of hours at the Gardens, and I just don't. I totally agree with you that it's like 3-3 or king 10, but I rarely see somebody three bet on the turn at the 5-5 games with king 10 with two pair. I just don't see that very often.
But how about 3-3 though?
Yes, that's also I'm okay with 3-3. I understand that.
Also, too, somebody points out in the live chat too, Mike, our mod. Sometimes people just go nuts with top pair and a flush draw here, like king queen of diamonds, ace king of diamonds. If it wasn't three bet off, king jack of diamonds, something like that. What did you do? You called?
So I called. I talked to a lot of people, and like the better players that I talked to actually agree with you that it's just a jam, simple jam. But yeah, I called.
Yeah, I think so, to be honest with you, just for the reasons that I stated, that it would be a disaster if he would call off now, and then now he's not going to if he misses a draw or something scary happens and you both don't put money in, at the end. Mm-hmm. What's the river? Yeah.
So the river's like 8 of diamonds, so it's a kind of a straightening, fleshy card that kind of kills the action. Yeah. So he checks, but I just felt like he was checking to trap, so I checked behind. Wow, I tanked on the turn.
That's really, really. I don't know if here's the thing. Some people are like, why is this hand? This is where I think it gets kind of interesting. Again, it sort of proves that sometimes you can, chicken yourself out on certain runouts and things like this. I don't really think this diamond changes anything if he follows up with a check. And what I mean by that is that he's 3-betting the turn. He's 3-betting your raise on the turn, and then he's going to check when he makes diamonds here. I still think that this is a made hand, most of which are worse than your hands, like king 10 or pocket threes that is now scared of the flush. I just don't see him having 10-10 all that much, and I don't think I get here like this because I put it in on the turn, but I'm going to value bet here. You have about a half pot size all in, so maybe you could make the case where you size down a little bit just because this guy might get scared and not call off for the entire effective stack with king 10, but if I got here, I would still bet. as played.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I checked behind, and he showed me the one hand that I did not see coming. He rolled over pocket kings.
Well, I didn't know the results there, but we can't be results oriented in these situations. Yes, you're going to see
Okay.
some wacky shit, but I stand by what I say. Yes, I would have lost it
Okay.
all on the turn. I mean, that's what I think the best play is.
Okay.
There's always going to be outliers. There's always going to be deviations, but I still think a vast majority of the time you're ahead here, and you don't want something like this to happen, and you chicken out, and then I think he could just as likely roll over 3-3 or king 10 here too. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. But watch that drop in those games. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for
Thanks,
the
Bart.
call. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and check out the coupon code in the description to try out the Crush Live Poker training site for free.